welcome to the June edition of our traditional webinar, Ask Julie Anything. I am Mariana Nadai, and I will be your host during this session. And today we're having a general AJA. It's been a while since we have one of those, so what does that mean? It means that tonight our founder and formulator Julianne Lee will be answering all kinds of questions about your beloved for family members, so don't be shy and ask Julie anything. But before we start, as usual, I want to remind you about some housekeeping rules. Please, if you can, switch your chat to everyone. Please, if you can switch your chat to everyone so we can all join in the conversations. Please use the Q&A box at the bottom of your Zoom screen to ask your questions, and your questions will be answered in order. First come, first serve, and we will do our best to get through all of them tonight, so please be gentle with us. And the most important thing of all, I also want to remind you that this session provides a judgment-free space with only the health and happiness of our animals and the planet being our core goal. So without further ado, I know you are not here for me, so please welcome Julianne Lee, everybody. Hi, Julie.
Hi. Hi, everybody. Thank you. Yeah, it's been a little while since we've just done a basic ask me anything. So we might as well just hope everybody's getting all excited for summer. It's all of a sudden gotten really hot here. I was wearing a toque 3 days ago, and now I'm like boiling in this like nothing shirt. So why don't we go right into asking some questions?
Okay.
There's 5, so we can start.
Yes, so let's go. Laurie is here asking, my 6-year-old lab has fought persistent lip fold dermatitis for over a year. We eliminated a few proteins after NutriScan test, no luck. Many topicals with no luck. We wash area 4 times per day. I have purchased our yeasty protocol and have questions concerned before I begin. Does our product have adequate binder for yeast toxins leaving body? Does product have any immune support properties? And how do I know if die-off has reached an unhealthy level and I need to discontinue? I have no holistic vet available to help guide me through this.
Okay, that's a really good question.
Yes.
So let's just go into the protocol right away. So lip fold dermatitis is often a yeast-based, or the yeast can come secondary to the dermatitis. It's a catch-22 situation, whether or not it's which caused which, and I don't know if they've done a swab on the lip folds to see if there's actually yeast in it. But like I said, often there is. So does the product have an adequate binder for yeast toxins leaving the body? Yes, it does. It has a specific, all the herbs, Podarco especially, is really amazing for that. And what we have to remember is that protocol was specifically formulated to try not to have a die-off. So when you're dealing with a yeast, if you ramp up the immune system too much, this is where we can find this happening. So we could put the animal on dog or cat, or I was going to say horse, but horses do get yeast. But we could put them on a leaky gut protocol. We could change their diet. We could start boosting their immune system, probiotics, the whole 9 yards. And then all of a sudden, it looks like their skin symptoms are getting worse. Oftentimes what that can be, if the immune system is ramped up, then the yeast die-off can happen really quickly. And it's called a Herx reaction. And interestingly enough, that reaction almost looks identical to yeast. So what happens, and what I saw in my practice all the time, is that people would go out, they would buy lots and lots of probiotics, because probiotics, as we know, is one of the main ways to eradicate or reduce the amount of yeast. So they would go out and they would do probiotics, they would do different kinds of fermented foods. They would really, really, really try to increase the gut microbiome. And it's amazing. And but all of a sudden the animals would start getting worse. And most of the time that would be a yeast die-off. So first of all, we don't put up any probiotics that any regular probiotics in that protocol that would create that situation. The next thing that we do is we recommend, and this is a big one for the die-off, is we recommend starving the yeast first through diet. So then the yeast becomes, the protocol is very much like a war on yeast from a perspective of being very strategic to weaken the yeast first, then the Podarco and everything that's in the products go in and they destroy the yeast. There's a specific enzyme in there that actually helps to digest or ingest the yeast cells so that when they die, they don't just land. So I always call it like a yeast graveyard. So when we think of yeast, there's about 13 to 15 really bad toxins that yeast produce. And when they die, they produce even more toxins. So I always say it's like if you kill them really fast, they just fall to the bottom. And imagine this mountain of dead yeast and it just emanating toxins. And the toxins, like I said, they produce more toxins when they're dead than they do when they're alive. And it looks like they have yeast, so they go back to the veterinarian, and then the vet goes, "Oh my gosh, well, the yeast is back," and then out comes the ketoconazole and all the medicated shampoos, thinking that it's yeast, but it isn't. It's actually yeast die-off, which is Herx. So the protocol is actually formulated to slow down the process in which the yeast dies. It just doesn't eradicate them and kill them like that. It slowly starves them and then starts to ingest or digest them. And then the homeopathic remedies and the liver tonics helps to rid the body of the toxins at the same time. So we don't wait till they're dead and then do it. We're doing it simultaneously at the same time. How you would know if the die-off was happening too fast is exactly the same way as if the die-off was dying too fast if you were ramping up the immune system too much with like the leaky gut protocol. And you would just see them being itchy, right? Itchier, hot spots. The lip folds could get worse if there is yeast in the lip folds. It just looks like an aggravation of the symptoms that the animal's already producing. But if you follow it the way the protocol suggests, we don't see that very much unless the dog is so full of yeast that no matter what you do, as soon as you start to combat yeast, you're going to get some kind of a Herx reaction. In that case, what you can do, it's super easy and it's still effective. If you're really, really worried about that, start off with half the dose and give them half the dose for, I don't know, maybe 2 to 3 weeks, and then increase it to 3/4 of the dose for another 2 weeks, and then and then work it up to the full dose and see what kind of reaction. If it's going well, and then all of a sudden, oh, that's interesting, my dog's rubbing his face, or he's itching more, or it's looking like he's got the yeast back, then dial it back or stop it for a couple of weeks, and then you can start it again. Or you can, the really unfortunate thing about yeast is that after you've done a yeasty beast protocol and after you've tried to reduce the amount of yeast in the dog's body, it's pretty imperative to do a leaky gut protocol. And that's because if you were to look or imagine what a yeast looks like, they have almost like these very sharp tentacles, and they just make a mess of the lining of the gut. So it's really important to make sure that you're reestablishing the mucosal lining and the junctions of the gut after you've gotten rid of the yeast.
Amazing. Thank you, Julie. And Sabiha is asking, my two cats are 7 years old and 1 years old. 1 year old. I recently started to take them on walks in a harness as they love the outdoors and it really stimulates them. I don't have a lot of grass in my backyard, but I do have patches of shrubs and tall grass. I don't want my cats to get fleas or ticks. I'm wondering if there are any natural products I could use to help repel ticks and fleas or kill them if my cats do get them from outside. I find the regular dewormer and flea tick solutions harmful, and I'm scared to use them. And advice would be so greatly appreciated.
Do we know if she is in the US or in Canada?
Um,
I'm in Canada. Okay, I'm not, I don't mean it's too bad that you live in Canada, but it's too bad because you can't get Wondercide in Canada. I would recommend Wondercide if you were in the US. It's a really hard call. You can find natural, you can find natural things for fleas and ticks. I find that they're actually more for the natural ones work better more for even ticks than they do fleas. But if you're just in your yard, I know Kaylin wrote in there chickens. Yeah, chickens, guinea hens, those are all really amazing animals to have for fleas and ticks in your yard. But what you can do instead is you can I would make a lot, and I still do, make up a solution of lemon juice, water, apple cider vinegar, and lavender oil. That's it. I don't put any kind of citronella in it. I don't put any like the really hardcore smelling essential oils. I just put real lemon, a little bit of apple cider vinegar, some grapeseed extract and water, and I spray it very, very lightly on their very lightly on their coats. And when you bring, like, sort of massage it in, and when you bring them back, what you can do is you can just brush them, and the little tiny bit of oil makes it more difficult for the parasites to get a hold of and crawl up. But flea combing, vacuuming, Rita Hogan has a really, really good protocol for fleas, if you want to get on her website. She has an excellent one. Someone just said Judy Morgan just posted a product to treat the yard for fleas. Yeah, it's like cedar. Someone's written cedar. You have to be really, really careful with cedar and cats. Nematodes. Yeah, someone's written about nematodes. Nematodes are really good too. They are a type of bacteria and bug that are the sort of predators for things like fleas and ticks and slugs and stuff like that. But it's a hard call. It's a really, really hard call. Certain cats, like I can't use Wondercide on my cats. I can use them on all the cats but two. Two of them are very sensitive, and I think it is to the cedar oil, and the cedar oil has a really strong one. Peter Tobias also has a flea one. You might want to check out Peter Tobias's site. He has a flea product that you could look at as well. So yeah, to me also it's just keeping up their immune system, and really, really vacuuming a lot. I have a bunch of animals here at the farm and they all go outside. And the main way I keep rid of fleas is ticks not, but fleas, yes, is I vacuum constantly and flea comb them. So that's to me one of the very, very best ways. And like I said, Rita Hogan has a really great sort of I think she even has an ebook about it. You could look at that. And, just putting a little bit of lemon and a little bit of lavender oil just on your hands and wiping it on their coats just as you're walking outside. And then comb them with a flea comb when you come back in and just check them really well.
Great, thanks, Julie. There's an anonymous question here. Hi, Julie. My 7-year-old cat has IBD. She's seeing an internal medicine specialist, and they did an ultrasound and saw swollen lymph nodes and some thickening of the walls. Lila, my sweet girl, is still hyper playful and eats well. We did a fecal assessment on her, and the results come back to her Clostridium hieranoides levels are super low. They are 0.1, so basically non-existent. Due to antibiotics, she was prescribed 1 year ago. Could you explain more what this means and what I could do to help her? Which of your products would be best to use? Have you heard that a fecal matter transplant could help? Any information would be amazing.
So to be really, I mean, I'm not just saying this, but IBD is something that I'm not going to say it's easy to deal with I'm not making light of it because it can be extremely dangerous, especially in cats, because they do link that with intestinal lymphoma, things like that. So we do want to be careful with that for sure. So first of all, I would be looking at what is she eating. So I'm just going to go from very, very basics down. Inflammatory bowel disease is, with my experience with cats, starts with chronic inflammatory response of the bowel, of the mucosal lining. So what we want to do instead of, I don't know whether they've put her on prednisone or they've put her on an immune suppressive drug of any kind. But what you want to do is you want to focus on getting the inflammation out of the mucosal lining. And there's many, many, many ways to support that. So things like slippery elm, marshmallow root, and acetylglucosamine is incredible for that. Probiotics, prebiotics, fulvic and humic acid, and when the mucosal lining becomes that inflamed, the integrity of the actual junctions of the lining become really, really compromised. So the next thing that happens a lot with IBD is that they actually aren't absorbing their food properly, even if they're chubby and eating and still hyper and playful and eats well. The concern about it is that because it's thickened, the digestive system isn't the food isn't as bioavailable. So then you're dealing with a body that is also dealing with something that is affecting their actual ability to get the proper nutrition. The next thing that can happen is it can become, the immune system is hyperactive, which IBD is considered an autoimmune situation where the body can start to attack itself. So with all the IBD animals that I saw, and I saw lots of cats with IBD, we started from scratch, whole food diets, putting them on what we have as gut seal now, which I used in my clinic, only we did them as separate independent ingredients. And homeopathic remedies like arsenicum is a really good one. Carcinosin is an excellent one. So reaching out to a veterinarian that does specifically homeopathy, inflammatory bowel disease really, really does really well with homeopathy. But as far as products go, I would suggest you want to, it's not just about the bacteria. So fecal transplants they're good, I get a little nervous with fecal transplants when it comes to autoimmune disease, because think of the word transplant. Transplant, when you think of a heart transplant, or you think of a kidney transplant, or you think of any kind of transplant, the person goes on a usually a steroid, because the body tries to reject it because it's a transplant. So they put people on immune suppressive drugs in order that the body doesn't try to reject the organ. And I have seen animals react the same way, and people react the same way with a transplant. If you're getting the transplant and you've already got an autoimmune disease, or you've already got something going on. Transplants, I'm not negating them in any way. I'm very much about like safety first, making sure that there isn't side effects, making sure that there's no suffering involved, or, you know, get them getting worse before they get better. I try to avoid that. So everything that I've had really great success with IBD has been it's like a really holistic approach, which is making sure that the diet is really good, trying to maybe rule out any kind of proteins or any kind of food that this cat is eating that could be aggravating the situation. So, you know, maybe put her on a novel whole food diet that is a protein that she's never had, you know, like, I don't know, kangaroo or something like that. And try to make it a species specific diet, so not a processed food diet for sure. And then when the fact that she was on, you know, antibiotics for a year, her gut microbiome was probably really has been really affected by that. So you want to put her on a really good food. You want to start to decrease the inflammatory response in the gut lining, and that is things like N-acetylglucosamine, slippery elm, marshmallow root. All of that stuff is in our feline gut soothe. So I would recommend putting her on feline gut soothe for sure. And then I would also recommend putting her on Felix Flora. And Felix Flora, I would put her on both. And the Felix Flora has the specific cat, the very specific cat fecal probiotics. So it's taken from a healthy cat feces, and it's turned into it's very similar to a fecal transplant without the concern of having the rejection part. So I would do that. It also has fulvic and humic acid in it, and that helps to detox, and also the integrity of the lining, which is phenomenal. I can't even tell you how important that is. Liver tonic for sure would be really helpful, because when anything like this is happening and any kind of bacteria is seeping into the bloodstream because of the IBD, then the liver kind of gets overtaxed, and then the whole body isn't functioning and healing the way it should. So I would be doing, like I said, liver tonic, feline gut soothe, Felix Flora, and reaching out to a species specific diet, and then reaching out to a homeopath that can really address the symptoms, because I don't know what her symptoms are. Lots of symptoms are different with cats. Some cats get diarrhea, some cats throw up every day, some cats just stop eating. There's some overgroom with IBD. There's so many different symptoms that your cat could be having that I don't know. And like I said, arsenicum album in a 30C works amazing. So does carcinosin, so does phosphorus. So there's a lot of really great homeopathic remedies to help with IBD. And the other thing that would be really good for her probably is the go-to, so that you're getting arnica in for the inflammatory response, arnica and aconite. You could be giving her that once a day for a little bit. So that's what I would recommend, and working with a holistic vet that can work with you with homeopathic remedies. But try not to be try not to, don't take it not seriously because it's really serious, but don't get too stressed. Don't get freaked out, because I have worked with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of IBD cats, and they've all done incredibly, incredibly well.
Thanks. Before I move on with Ingrid's question here, I just have a comment from Bridget about Peter Dobias's flea products that you mentioned before.
Yeah,
She's saying that it's only available in the US.
right.
So she said, my last shipment got held at customs and they sent
Yeah.
back, and they got a very threatening letter, but she asked them to try again, and the second attempt, it worked. So just a heads up, if anyone is asking, it's like buying Peter Tobias products from at least the flea ones here from Canada. So
Yeah,
Ingrid,
it would be the flea one, yeah.
yeah.
All the flea medication, that the natural flea, that's why I was saying, like, where do you live? There's tons of really good flea medication, in natural flea medication in the US. Lots and lots, but we can't get it into Canada, unfortunately.
So Ingrid's question is, besides your product, do you recommend anything else supplement-wise when it comes to a senior Basset hound with chronic UTIs that no longer respond to antibiotics? My senior girl is paraplegic, and we no longer have safe antibiotics to use after doing multiple culture and sensitivities. Please suggest something else. I'm happy to give additional detail if necessary. Look forward to the webinar tonight.
Well, I know what you said, besides our supplements, or besides our the products on our website, but Easy Peasy is really, 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 really good for chronic UTIs. But if your dog, I've seen this lots with animals that are, that leak, or especially females that are leaking, or, dogs that are incontinent, or dogs that can't use their back end. It's a very common problem. And I would 100% say for sure using homeopathic remedies. So you can actually get, in homeopathy, you can get the bacteria in which you're trying to rid. So if it's, a specific bacteria, which it often is, but they don't respond anymore to antibiotics, you can get that bacteria in a homeopathic remedy. So I would for sure suggest doing that, is putting her on homeopathy. And if she's, how old did you say she was? She's a senior. And the fact that she's paraplegic. So yeah, it's a very, very common problem. And I'm sure you're using things to whisk away the urine, so that she's not sitting in her urine, or not sitting, but her diaper is not it's not going back up into her urethra. Probiotics are really important for that, because probiotics isn't just for the gut. Probiotics is for fighting bacteria, period, and increasing the immune system, so the immune system can also fight fight bacteria naturally. So in our Easy Peasy, we have specific probiotics that actually help to pull the bacteria out of the urine. That the bacteria actually attaches to that bacteria. So the pathogenic bacteria that's causing the UTI can attach itself to the probiotic bacteria, and it actually helps to literally whisk it out. That's that's why I would definitely put her on that if she's not on that. But E. coli. Oh, it's E. coli. Oh, coli, she's 17. Oh my God, 17 and a half. Um, well, then I would definitely be doing, man, I would be doing a lot. I would be doing, uh, I would definitely be doing the probiotic or the powder from Easy Peasy for sure. Then I would actually add the wolf and Phytosphlora because we have done the test for E. coli with those products. So I would be putting them on that for sure. I would be putting her on liver tonic, absolutely, because the liver is affected by pathogenic bacteria. And homeopathic remedies are just really there's so many that to choose from, right? There's sepia and phosphoric acid and it would depend on what her symptoms are with this infection, right? So there are lots. I would try to get a hold of, I know Andrea Ring has been just really, really busy and having a hard time getting back to everyone, but you could reach out to her because I don't think it would be a very difficult case for her to prescribe this. So maybe she might have the time. I'm not sure. Or if you can find a homeopathic vet that you could reach out to and talk to, that would be really awesome too. But definitely Phytosphlora, the Easy Peasy protocol, and the wolf and liver tonic would be things that I would have her on, and maybe even phytoplankton to just really ramp up her immune system. That would be the biggest thing that I would do, because like I said, you can give different kinds of bacterias, homeopathic bacterias, to try and actually combat it as well.
Amazing. Thanks, Julie. Bridget is asking, how often do you deworm your dogs and what do you use? I just can't believe that DE and ground pumpkin seeds will take care of the tougher worms. Thoughts on fenbenzidole?
Well, it's I don't worm my dogs. That's the answer. I do fecal analysis constantly with my cats and dogs. And my horses, I don't routinely worm my horses either. So unless there are specific worms that that come into their, like, that are diagnosed in their fecals, I don't routinely do worming. And diatomaceous earth and pumpkin seeds are, people swear by them. But for me, an animal's pH in their gut is, and the bacteria in the gut that helps to strengthen the gut, they shouldn't really be susceptible. I mean, if they have fleas, then they can get tapeworms. If they're out and I just don't find that dogs really get the worms like maybe that they used to get when they weren't maybe fed as well or something. I don't know. But my thoughts on any kind of drugs is that you only use drugs if it's absolutely your last. For me, I use drugs. I have drugs in my barn. I use drugs with my animals, but I only use them if there's no other choice. And I never just use the drugs. So if I have to use a drug, I look at that drug and you look into the side effects of the drug. So if the side effects of the drug is neurological, side effects of the drug is liver disease, if the side effect of the drug, if it's processed through the kidneys, then you try and support that organ. So if you're using a drug that that's going to affect the liver, you can use a homeopathic remedy called phosphorus or China. If it's going to affect the liver, you can put it on liver tonic, our liver tonic, and also the even kidneys. You can put it on liver tonic because it supports the kidneys as well. So there's lots you can do to proactively support the side effects of the drug. But I just don't believe in giving of routinely worming ever, anything. And that's for horses too, that's a big thing. People routinely worm their horses every 3 months. I never worm my horses. I always do fecals. And if one horse has worms, I don't routinely worm the whole barn. I will only worm that one horse, and then make sure that I'm, reestablishing the bacteria in their guts and supporting them whatever way that they need to be supported with herbs and things like that. So, oh, maybe is that the same? That's a different person about heartworm. So yeah, that's what and diatomaceous earth and ground pumpkin. I've used that for chickens for parasites, and it works amazing. It actually works really, 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 really well with chickens. And people are amazed that if the chickens have to prevent parasites more than actually treat them. So homeopathic sulfur works well. There's different things like that, but to me, it's mostly diet and making sure that the gut bacteria is really solid and super diverse.
Great, thanks, Julie. Laurie is asking, hi, how often should probiotics be changed, and should they be given with food or before food?
That's a really good question. We just had that conversation, didn't we, Mariana, today at work? So we have a lot of different probiotics, and people wonder why. And there's a really good answer for that. And that is that every strain and every species of bacteria and probiotics work differently. And the way we formulate, or the way I formulate, is not just to deal with the gut, but it's usually also to deal with a system of the body. So in a perfect world, we would have, if it's a dog, let's say, we would use something like, the wolf, the Phytophthora, soil and sea, and one of the probiotics that have blood bugs in it. So either gut soothe, or healthy gut, so that you're getting 12, 13, you're getting many, many, many diverse bacteria all at the same time. Economically, that if I was to produce a product with all of those strains and everything that I wanted to do in one product, it would be very cost prohibitive for people to do. So rather than doing that, it's just as easy and it's more cost effective to rotate them. So if you're not really, like, let's say you don't, like, if you had a dog with IBD, let's say we talked about a cat with IBD, but if you had a dog with IBD, you could have Gut Soothe as your main sort of daily probiotic. And then you could rotate through, use a bottle of Wolf. Then when you're finished the Wolf, you use a jar of Soil and Sea. Then when you're finished the Soil and Sea, you could go into Phytophthora. And then when you finish Phytophthora, you can go back to the other one. You don't have to be a rocket science to figure out how to rotate them or what to do. You just literally use the bottle or the jar up, and then you switch to another one. And then what that does is that is constantly giving the gut reminder bacterias of what you're hoping will colonate and grow in the gut to give your gut, or your animal's gut, the most diverse probiotics and bacteria that you can. And then you're going to be doing things like, there's turkey tail in the wolf one, right? So then you're giving turkey tail, you're giving the wolf probiotic, which has unbelievably crazy, amazing postbiotic effects, from emotional effects to chronic inflammation of the bowel, immune modulation, the pathogenic bacteria, the list goes on and on. But then the prebiotic is turkey tail. So when you rotate our probiotics, you're also rotating your prebiotics. And we, which a lot of people don't know, but we use functional prebiotics. We don't use fructose or inulin or things that are great to feed the bacteria the probiotic, but they don't have a lot of medicinal value for, or functional value for the rest of the body. So turkey tail, as we know, everyone knows what turkey tail is. You know, it's been cited to work with cancer and chronic disease and immune system things and stuff like that. So when you're using the wolf, you're also getting the benefit of the prebiotic being turkey tail. Then when you're using soil and sea, that's a whole different, complete different concept of bacteria. It's bacteria that comes from the soil that our food is greatly depleted. So even if we're purchasing the very best dog food on the planet, our soil does not have the same bacteria it did, you know, 300 years ago, 1,000 years ago. It just doesn't. And that bacteria is crucial for our ability to assimilate our vitamins and nutrients. So those bacteria do something completely different. And then it's got chlorella in it. And chlorella does, as a prebiotic, and chlorella does a whole rash of different things. And then we have phytophthora, and that has the canine, the domestic dog bacteria in it. And it's got fulvic and humic acid in it, which helps to regain the integrity of the gut lining and helps to detoxify, like a chelation. I could go on forever of why we have so many different probiotic products. And like I said, you can use them all together if you want. It's not going to hurt anything. Or you can rotate them, or you can have a base one if you have a dog that has sort of loose stools or problem with vomiting or acid reflux or something like that. You can use a base gut soothe and add the other probiotics along with it, alternating them. It's really, really easy. And I always say to people, every single gut's different. So every single animal's different, every single body is different. And the most important thing is paying attention to how your dog or your cat reacts. So if you're giving one particular probiotic and you see a difference in their emotion, they're not so anxious, their hair coat looks better, their energy is good, they are, you know, you can tell that it's working. Then sometimes what you can do is keep them on that probiotic for 3 months and then start to change them. But I have lots of people out there, like we have lots of customers that have dogs with chronic digestive system problems, and they use gut soothe, and they'll do 1 day of gut soothe and then 1 day with an alternating probiotic, but they never stop the gut soothe. They always make sure that even when they go from wolf to soil and sea, the alternating day is gut soothe. And that's because of the herbs and the, you know, N-acetylglucosamines and things like that in it. So yeah, that's a big question for, that's a long answer for a pretty simple question, but don't worry. And it really is important to be diverse, to have all different kinds of bacteria and probiotics and prebiotics.
Great. Teresa.
Oh, and should they be given with food or before food?
Yes, yes.
I always give mine with food. Always. And the reason I'm just going to tell you why is because I'm such an believer in ancestors. Like, what were their ancestors doing? How are their ancestors getting probiotics? How was their ancestors getting the probiotics and the prebiotics? Well, they were getting it predominantly through the gut of their prey of what they were eating. So they were ingesting those bacteria at the same time as they're ingesting and eating. So my horses get it with their food, my dogs, my cats, my pig, my chickens, they all get it mixed in their food.
Great. So now, Teresa, if I cannot avoid giving my dog a monthly heartworm preventative, Heartgard, Is there a supplement or protocol I can give him to flush out the toxins?
Yes, absolutely. So definitely one of our probiotics that have, I would say the Phytospora, because it's got what I was talking about, fulvic and humic acid, which is really, really good for detoxification. Liver tonic, 1,000,000,000%, because it supports the kidneys and the liver. Definitely want to be doing that. And a homeopathic remedy called phosphorus and nux vomica. So anytime a drug is given on this farm to anything, we have 30C phosphorus and 30C nux vomica, and we mix it up and we give it to that animal twice a day for 3 days, or 3 to 7 days, depending on what the drug is. So that's what I would do every single time you give. I don't know whether you're giving HeartGuard for 12 months if you live somewhere really, really, really hot, where you would have to do it on a monthly basis, or if you're doing it during the season of heartworm and then you're stopping it. But if you're giving it monthly, then I would definitely be giving this remedy 2 days prior to, and probably 3 to 5 days after, so it's 7 days in total. And the entire time that it's on HeartGuard, I would be doing something with the fulvic and humic acid in it, and definitely keeping them on liver tonic twice a day, like constantly.
She said she lives in Michigan, but her vet says they should use monthly.
Okay, well, I can't say that. I mean, that's a very different philosophy than what I have. And we just came from Virginia. I was doing a lecture in Virginia, and there were two veterinarians there from different states, and all of them didn't believe that. They believe that her name is Dr. Oh my goodness. Marianne, what's her name? She contacted us after Virginia to do some work with us. She's got a really good protocol for a very good protocol for heartworm, and I'm pretty sure she doesn't recommend it unless it's over 80 degrees for 2 weeks in a row. That has to be over 80 degrees, consistently over 80 degrees for 2 weeks in a row for the larva. But you can definitely Google that, because I know it's out there, and there's a specific heat level and a specific amount of time that it has to be like that in order for the larva to maintain, to be active enough. So you should be able to Google that, Teresa, and find out specifically for Michigan which months you should be using that product and which months you can stop. Like if there's snow on the ground, I don't know Michigan, sorry, I don't know if Michigan gets cold weather and snow, but if you get cold weather and snow, it's very unlikely that's going to happen. But I think that going to your just Googling it, and you'll be able to find the answer pretty. Here, Kaylin just put, here's the study from the Heartworm Society. Yeah. So Kaylin, is it in that one about how, oh, there it is there. Yeah, 80 degrees. So life cycle, there you go. Perfect. Thanks, Kaylin. That's the conditions. If they're not fulfilled, the parasite cycle cannot be completed and the dog is safe. So that's really important. So there's, I am 100% on board. If people want, supportive of it, but when you're giving it, make sure that you're doing proactive care, not just going, oh, well, we're just going to give it. 100% you need to do proactive care. And I would really ramp up their liver health 1 month prior to starting. And I would continue looking at their liver health 1 month after stopping.
Were you talking about Dr. Ruth Roberts?
Yeah, she's got some good stuff too. Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So Roxanne is asking, I have a 7-month-old boxer and I'm feeding the traditional BARF diet and wanted to know your input on when to transition the pup to the adult diet percentages.
Are you following Dr. Ian Bellinghurst? Because I mean, he did the BARF diet. He was the basically the founder of that. That's what I would be doing. I would follow his guidelines because he's like the wizard when it comes to stuff like that. I don't think there's anybody in the world that knows more about the BARF diet or more about stuff like that than Dr. Billinghurst. He is really, really incredible.
Amazing.
But
Alexandra,
usually I mean like for me, if it wasn't necessarily the BARF diet, I would be transitioning them, probably around a boxer, probably around 9 months to a year. Depends how they can be so crazy and hyper, and it really depends on their personality. But if you give your dog a bone, which is Dr. Billinghurst's uh, book, it's very specific with breeds and personalities and things like that.
great. Alexandra is asking here, does spaying kittens send them into menopause with only adrenal glands left to produce estrogen? How does it affect their endocrine function? What can we do to support their endocrine function after spaying? What's the best thing to support their adrenal glands? What about the brain? With so little estrogen left after spaying, do cats experience significant cognitive decline? That's a very complex question, I would say.
It's actually not. It's
No?
not. It's a great question, but it could take, I could talk about it for hours, really. Um, so yes, 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 yes. Not necessarily menopause, right? But does it affect the adrenal glands? Yes. Does it affect the endocrine function? Yes. It can't not affect it. We're removing their sex organs at a very young age, and sex hormones are incredibly important for everything, like everything. So how we supported the animals that we spayed at our clinic is we gave them something called, for the rest of their life, a homeopathic spay and neuter protocol that you can purchase from Andrea Ring. If someone wants to put Andrea's thing in the chat, she can send that to you, the spay and neuter protocol. It's a homeopathic protocol that's really easy to use, that I use on every single solitary animal that gets spayed or neutered. And things like finding food that have those organs ground into them, right? So this is a double whammy. We're spaying and neutering them, so they aren't getting that, but then they're not eating testicles and ovaries. And they would be eating testicles and ovaries. They would be eating mice testicles and mice ovaries, and rabbit testicles and rabbit ovaries, and rat and squirrel, and with dogs, like they would be eating larger animal, sexual organs. So they would be getting hormones through their food, right? So this is a very, very big. Karen Becker, she has I think she's got she has a product for, I think she's got a daily product for it. You could go on Mercola and look. I'm pretty sure she does. But you know, getting as close to a species specific diet as possible. Amino acids are really important. So phytosynergy has incredible amino acids, because your amino acids, I think, are really affected by spay and neutering. There's you know, lion's mane helps to keep the brain healthier. Lion's mane mushroom. The it's a hard call. It's a really hard call, but you know, trying to maintain the health of the pituitary gland in the brain when it comes to cognitive disorders and things like that, it's a really good question, and not enough people ask that question. And when you think about it, the two big things with cats when they get older is hyperthyroidism. So it's a hormonal, it's a, you know, thyroid is a hormone, and they get, you know, cats get cognitive, like, you know, like a, you know, feline dementia and stuff like that, really a lot as well. So, you know, I think that all has something to do with them not having their sex hormones.
Got it. Sid Hunt is asking here, unfortunately, I'm moving country and have to give my cats the non-adjuvanted rabies shot. I'm not at all happy about this. What is a comprehensive detox protocol I can use? Can the damage be undone?
Well, I'm talking about homeopathy a lot tonight. That would be another thing, and it's gonna be hard to get, but Andrea could mail that to you as well, is the rabies nosode. Definitely be giving, I would be giving that animal the rabies nosode. And that is a homeopathic remedy that's literally made from rabies. And you don't have to worry that it's going to give them rabies, but it's, to me, probably the number one thing to give with something like that, along with, like, if you tell her that, she'll probably also send you Nux vomica and other homeopathic remedies to support the cat. But our rebalancer should definitely be used in a situation like that. It used to be called anti-vax, and we had to change the name. So, which it just meant it helps to rid the body of the side effects of vaccines. It doesn't do anything against the titers or anything. But things like fulvic acid definitely, and it's not just for the rabies, but it's for the carriers, right? It's for the adjuvants are really hardcore. You know, whether it's thimerosal or a mercury type of adjuvant. So liver tonic, rebalancer, our go-to would be really good for that as well. Reach out to Andrea, tell her what, and she can probably even give you, she'll probably even send you you can get homeopathic remedies actually made from the vaccines. So they give that homeopathic remedy to derail the side effects of those particular vaccines, because they had the adjuvant and everything actually in the homeopathic remedy. So that's what, and you know, just feed them really well. And I don't know how soon you have to get it, but that's another thing. Please get it as early as you can, so that you're not getting this shot and then throwing them on a plane, right? Like that they can go home and you can monitor how they're doing, and you can give them these remedies, and they can be in an environment where they feel safe and at home, and it's not stressful. One of the worst things is having to give these vaccines and then stress the daylights out of them by putting them on a plane and moving them to a different home. That's like a double whammy. I'm just gonna quickly highlight on here.
Okay. Okay. Jeannie is asking, what do you recommend for holistically calming an overexcited, anxious, fearful 3-year-old BC? She is on FSCBD, and I'm considering valerian root and reishi caplets.
I would say our Nui, don't do that one. I would say actually our wolf probiotic, we have so many people letting us know that the wolf probiotic is helping their animals with anxiety, aggression, separation anxiety. I would definitely recommend trying that and try it for at least 3 months. And you can see lots of different, the gut brain axis is probably more important than anything else with calming fearful and anxious animals or people, anything. So yeah, paying attention to the gut brain axis. It's the gut that's actually telling the serotonin and telling the all of the calming hormones to ignite and to function. So if the gut is not talking to the brain, it won't matter how much CBD and how much valerian root and things like that that you give. If the communication between the gut and the brain is not there, you're not going to get what you feel like you're going to get. So I would definitely try. Hi, Henry. Definitely try the wolf probiotic.
Someone is asking, oh, wolf for a cat too, to calm?
You know what? I don't know. It's not going to hurt a cat to give the wolf probiotic for sure. I don't know if it would do the same thing, to be really honest. I wonder if the Felix flora might help to calm an anxious cat because it's a cat bacteria. But if Kathy, if you try the wolf and it works, please let us know for sure, because that would be something that I would really like to find out.
She said she will, so let's wait. Cheryl is asking here, my 6-year-old Italian Spinoni has suffered from yeast issues since a puppy. She's not asking, she's saying, but then probably she's asking for some recommendations from you. So he has been treated with antibiotics, herbal treatments, and etc. She's saying. I tried to find if she posted something beyond that, but no. So I guess just a comment on that.
Yeah, well, for me, it's making sure that they're not eating anything that's got sugars in them, right? So making sure she's on a species specific diet that is really low in carbohydrate, sugars even, right? Like, so more leafy green vegetables rather than like no carrots, no squashes, no sugar, like no sugary vegetables, and or fruits. So really trying hard to stay with green leafy vegetables and lots of organ meats and meat. And our yeasty beast protocol. I mean, that's what it was formulated for. If you haven't tried that, I would definitely try that.
Great. Rochelle is asking, hi, my German Shepherd, 10 years old, has had chronic bowel issues, blood and mucus, and on and off diarrhea. Slippery elm helped a lot. Blood work just came back with low red blood cell count. Any suggestions on diet, regime, and supplements?
Yeah. Lots. I mean, clearly you're seeing a vet. So if there's blood and mucus, that's definitely something that a vet needs to be looking at and digging into. But things like gut soothe is it's screaming gut soothe, like screaming gut soothe. I would not necessarily do the leaky gut protocol right away. I would probably start with liver tonic. I would probably start with rebalancer, liver tonic, and gut soothe. I would start with and phytosflora. I'm not phytosflora, phytosynergy. I would start with those 4. Do that for 2 months, or until they're finished, and then try the leaky gut protocol. But as far as diet goes, it would be a really good idea to look at, you know, cooling diets, diets with, things like, um, venison, just Google meats that are cooling. Same thing. Try not to do too many carbohydrates, lots of green leafy vegetables, but gut soothe. And I would actually, if she's 10 years old, I would probably do gut soothe, honestly, 3 times a day for a month. So I would do her weight 3 times a day for a month. If she's got chronic issues with blood and mucus and on and off diarrhea, and Slippery Elm did help, just try the gut soothe for 3 times a day for a month, and then the rest of the ones that I mentioned, for all of them, for about 3 months. See where you're at. And then let us know. Let us know after 3 months how she's doing, and then we can suggest what to do next. Or in a month, if it's not working, or if you feel like it's not working, then let us know. The other thing is homeopathic phosphorus for this dog could be very, very helpful. And you could just do a 30C twice a day for like 2 to 3 weeks as well. That would be probably really helpful as well.
Thanks. Tabitha is asking here, but I think it's a little odd. Like, hello, Julie, can the homeopathic malassezia work in the fight against yeast?
Yeah, it can. It can. And when we are doing things, we have to be very careful because we have to be compliant with Health Canada. And there are lots of homeopathic remedies that we can't use. Two of them being the spay and neuter protocol. We used to sell that, and then we had to stop selling it because they don't understand how it works. So, but yes, it can be very helpful, but along with using things like Podarco and stuff that's in our yeasty beast protocol, starving the yeast, taking out all sugars, ... But as an add-on, definitely, it can definitely help.
Great. Sidhand is asking, my cat has a heart arrhythmia that is seemingly benign, but it's too early to know. She also has some mild endocardial fibrosis that the vet is not concerned about, but I am. She has small stature and hind legs weakness. What supplements do you recommend?
That's interesting. Hind end weakness, and they're not worried about that. Well, coenzyme Q10 is really good for the heart. There's lots of well, when we just look at organs as independent organs, it never really works for me. There are things like CoQ10 is really good for the heart, and our potency is really, really good for the heart because of the DHA and the EPA. Phytosynergy is really good for the heart because of the amino acids, but we can't compartmentalize it's just the heart, because it's all the body works synergistically like a machine. Everything has to be healthy to be able to support every organ to do what it needs to do. So, make sure that this cat is on, a really good, healthy raw diet that has the correct amount of taurine in it. That's really, really important. And that uses heart, right? So uses heart in their formulations, because that's very traditional Chinese medicine, is that you feed the organ in which the organ to what the weak organ is. So if it was eyes, you would feed eyes. If it's heart, you feed heart. If it's kidneys, you feed kidney. Like not just that, but you make sure that they have adequate amounts of that. So make sure that your food that you're feeding your cat has adequate amounts of heart. Make sure that the taurine level is good. I don't know where you live, but there's Red Dog Blue Cat is a company that is really, really anal about you're in the US. Okay. So they're not in the US yet. But there's lots of really good Roxanne Roxanne has a great food and she's really, really good to talk to. So Roxanne Stone, Billy Hokeman, you could reach out to Billy Hokeman to make sure that we have, that you have the right amount of taurine and the right amount of organ meats for cats, because that's really, really, really important. I would also make sure that you're feeding liver tonic, because again, the blood the heart is a detoxification organ, right? So you want to make sure that if anything that is an organ that detoxes, that the liver, kidney, gallbladder, pancreas is working optimally, because it will kick in, and along with the gut, it will kick in with anything to help clean the blood, right? So lungs, heart, that everything is really important when you're looking at that. But on a side note, I would be using in something like this, I would be using Felix Flora. I would be using Phytosynergy and liver tonic for sure. Make sure that you're getting heart in their food. Make sure that the taurine levels are more than adequate. And I would also wonder why that they don't have a concern about this when there's hind end weakness. Unless there's some other reason why there's hind, like she has spondylosis or something like that that's causing the hind end weakness. But I would definitely, her echocardiogram was normal. But yeah, but you know what? I don't know. Just really, really, really try hard to support her heart as much as you can, and make sure that her blood is really clean with the liver tonic. So just make sure that you're supporting your whole body, not just her heart.
Thanks, Julie. Carrie is asking, I would like to know if feeding a raw diet using TC completer with egg, do I need to give my cat for life daily probiotics, digestive enzymes, and pre-digested fermented fibers like fermented grass? Or if I feed dehydrated rabbit ears with fur, is this enough to take care of the fiber that they would normally get from mice? Kittybiome.com seems to suggest that bacterial probiotics can throw the system off.
Okay, I gotta start this again. Seems to suggest that bacterial probiotics can what?
So she completes, yeah,
Oh.
right below, you can see
The bacterial
completed.
system off. Well, everybody has their own opinion about that. We have the probiotics that we use, especially for cats, the Felix Flora, is specific probiotics made from cat feces. So I'm definitely not going to get into who's right and who's wrong, but I've been working with probiotics and gut health for more than 30 years now, and with lots and lots of, personally in my vet hospitals, with lots and lots of really sick kitties, and kitties that are from kittens to when they're I've been really lucky, actually, been able to start them off as kittens and be honored to be able, you know, we would euthanize them when they're 20, 21 years old. So being able to follow their lifespan. And I would disagree with that comment completely when it comes to our probiotics because of the studies and how we produce them. But you know, I feel like is dehydrated rabbit fur. I think what happens when people think of probiotics, this is a good question. When people think of probiotics, they think of probiotics like inulin, like FOS, like maltodextrin. Those are the typical probiotics, and Adorbis has never done that. From my clinic 30 years ago, I didn't support prebiotics, I should say. I never supported prebiotics to be things like inulin and FOS and maltodextrin because it just didn't make sense. Like, how would they be getting that in the wild? So for me, I've always used something called functional prebiotics because the to get closer and closer to what would feed the probiotic or the friendly bacteria in the wild. So when we use things like larch and when we use things like chlorella and when we use things like turkey tail and things like that, they are prebiotics because we've done the research to be sure that they're prebiotics, but they also produce really, really good other medicinal value. So if you're looking at prebiotics with our products, you don't have to worry about it. Feeding dehydrated rabbit ears with fur, I mean, definitely that helps. One big rabbit ear, a rabbit ear for a cat is quite big. That's quite a lot, and it's very, like I said, they wouldn't just be going and eating a rabbit ear. So for me, things that are diverse, using all different things, lots, like, you know, looking at Billy's fermented formulas and looking at, you know, probiotics and looking at functional prebiotics and making sure that they're eating, you know, a raw species specific diet is it's like the more you mix things up, not too much, but because then you can kind of get off track. If something goes wrong, you might not know what's doing it. But I think that for me, a functional probiotic, functional prebiotic with a probiotic that has been researched in for animals, so research for cats or research for dogs or research for horses that we know maintain their integrity in the gut pH. We know what they're doing. We even know what they're doing from a postbiotic. We know what their postbiotic benefits are. So this is very different. I can't speak to other probiotics, but I can speak to ours. And for me, it's like food. Like taking a daily probiotic or feeding a daily probiotic is very similar to feeding food because we know that we could never get a species specific diet. We're not putting in guts, we're not putting in brains, we're not putting in eyeballs, we're not putting in sex hormones, we're not putting in a lot of things that animals would get in the wild. We're also not putting in, you know, the material in the digestive material that's in that animal's gut. So when, you know, when they eat an entire mouse or they eat an entire rat or they eat whatever, they're ingesting things that there's just no way that they're getting in food. So that's why I like to do it on a daily basis, is to be sure and rotate them to be sure that we are adding in very specific and diverse bacteria. The other thing about probiotics in comparison to like fecal transplants or doing, you know, a thing of something more straight fecal related is that unfortunately we know that unless you're eating the food that supports that bacteria, that becomes negligible after a very short period of time. So for a short period of time, it looks great, but then it becomes negligible. So I really believe that everything's great. I think transplants are great. I think poop pills are great. I feel like, probiotics are great, prebiotics are great. And to work with your cat and try different things, you should be able to tell what's really working, what's really helping, where are they the most vibrant, where are they running around the most and acting the craziest, and write it down so that you remember and base it on the individual animal and how they're responding. So I don't think that one is the be all and end all of everything. I don't live my life like that, and I don't treat the 40 animals that are here like that. And I never looked at my 36,000 animals that I treated in my career. I never looked at them as all the same either. So they are very individual, and it's up to the pet parent to try and pay attention to when they're feeding a supplement or a food, or they're trying something new, to really, really make sure that you're paying attention so that you know what they're doing well on, and look at their poops. Like, are their pees like nice and big? Are they peeing more? Are they peeing less? Are they peeing in small little things if it's a cat? What are their grooming habits? Are they over grooming? Are they grooming more? Are they grooming less? Are they grooming perfectly? There's so many things that we can watch for with our animals that we can assess ourselves better than anybody, whether it's working or not, and whether it works for our animals or not. So yeah, I mean, try using small pieces of the rabbit ear along with functional prebiotics. Try the different probiotics. Digestive enzymes, I think, are really important because they're not getting natural digestive enzymes like they would be if they were eating whole prey. Hi, Henry.
Thanks, Julie. Kim is asking here, hi guys, any advice for protocol for stage 1 to 2 kidney disease in 13-year-old cat? In a 13-year-old cat, his phosphorus levels are normal, currently on Ligut protocol, turkey tail, phytosynergy, and raw diet.
Okay. Well, it sounds really good. The other thing that it's okay, speaking of cats, hang on a minute. Stage 2 kidney disease. Well, it sounds like you're doing a really good job. Sounds like everything that you're doing. I think what's a raw diet? That's good. Oops, I just lost it. It went away. So I was just gonna look at it, but where did it go? Here it is. Raw diet. Yeah, I mean, the looking at, making sure that the protein, not the protein levels, but the types of protein is really important. Are you getting grass-fed proteins? Are you getting organic proteins? Trying to keep as many chemicals off of them as possible, meaning, or not off of them, in them as possible, making sure that the food that they're eating is as clean as you can definitely make it. Other than that, you're doing a really good job. And, if it progresses a little bit, then, you can also look at doing subcutaneous fluids, which she's not at yet. That's definitely something that helps a lot. And also homeopathic remedies. There's lots and lots of homeopathic remedies for kidney disease, one of them being phosphorus. So people are like, giving phosphorus when we want to always try to bring down the phosphorus levels in cats. But that's what homeopathy does, right? It likes cures likes. So I remember, hundreds of times when, vets would lose their mind if people would say, oh, yes, we've gone to, whatever clinic that they were coming to of mine, and said, oh, yes, they've put them on homeopathic phosphorus and they just about have a heart attack. And what they don't understand is that it levels the phosphorus out. So if the phosphorus starts to go up, it brings, oh, he's on phosphorus too. That's perfect. That's perfect. So, and he's on answers or solutions. Awesome. I think you're doing a really good job. I think you shouldn't get too worried. Make sure that his kidneys are, his urine is healthy. That's the other thing. You could do an easy peasy protocol with this kitty twice a year, just to be sure that you're making sure that there's not bacteria in the kidneys or in the urine that could affect the kidneys.
Oh, great. I'm asking the last question for today's webinar. So James is asking, what natural supplements might you recommend for our 16-year-old Tibetan Terrier who has dementia and low thyroid? He is on low dose of Soxin, half of 0.2 mg for his thyroid. Thank you, Carol and Jim Duff.
So again, thyroid is a hormone. So you want to make sure that all the hormones, as much as you can, are balanced. So oh, he's just gonna dig all my thing up now. So dementia is one really good thing I would say is I would do the wolf probiotic. I would also look at lion's mane mushroom. Lion's mane mushroom is incredible, like absolutely incredible for the brain. So I would be doing lion's mane mushroom. And as far as for his thyroid, things like phytosynergy is really good, very supportive of the thyroid because of the amino acid levels. But again, you want to make sure that this animal has the correct amount and the right types of bacteria in the gut so that they're getting the gut brain access, because the gut is saying, okay, you know, thyroid regulation, do this, you know, this needs to be this needs to be that. So the thyroid is, or the gut is completely in control of the hormones, including the thyroid. So I would make sure that the dog's thyroid the dog's gut health is in really, really, really good shape. And I would be using I would be trying the wolf and phytosynergy. And you can get lots of different homeopathic remedies as well for dementia and for low thyroid. Phosphorus is a really good one. Phosphorus, again, I've been saying phosphorus a lot today, but phosphorus is a good homeopathic remedy for dementia and for low thyroid, for both.
Amazing. Thank you, Julie. We answered a lot of questions today. We and the team behind us also helping us answering some of the questions. I know that we still have some other questions in the Q&A, but it's getting late. We can't go on until like midnight, so it's very late for us. So for those who didn't get their answer today, I'm so sorry, but please join our community on Facebook, the Adorbis Collective. You can post your question there and we will be glad to help you. I would like to thank everyone that joined the webinar today, and you, Julie, for answering all of those questions and for the amazing discussion. I don't know if you want to say some final words to everyone.
No, I just looked at this one really fast about herbs to eliminate crystals in dogs, or a UTI with a young dog that's getting UTIs and struvite crystals. The easy peasy protocol, that homeopathic remedy in there, is specifically to help the body, support the body to try and dissolve struvites. Producing, says, I'm pretty sure she means struvite crystals, but crystals, and for UTIs too. It's really supportive for UTIs. So I just saw that and I was like, fast question, very fast answer. But thank you so much, everybody. Thanks to all my team for answering people's questions that I can't get to in the side. And again, I just wish so much that we could answer all of these. Like, I'm looking at them and I'm like, oh my God. But I think, is our next one questions too? Is our next one just a plain
I think it's a topic one.
topic one? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, some of these questions can go, to our customer service, right? Like
Yeah.
customer service is pretty good. They've been hanging out with me for a very, very long time. So they can probably answer a lot of these other questions down in here too. So maybe they want to reach out to customer service as
Yes.
well.
Okay. Thank you, Julie. Thank you again, everyone.
Everybody.
I wish you all a great night, and don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter. You can sign up on our website to get all the information about the Doorbist, our promos, new blog postings, and future Ask Julie Anything sessions. So that's it. Have a great night, everyone. Good night,
Thanks,
Julie.
guys. Okay, bye.
Bye.
See ya.